If you're struggling to plan your content on a regular basis as a content creator, then a yearly content calendar might be for you. Content calendars in general are really essential, especially for aspiring content creators, just so you enable a really good workflow and also you're able to stick to a schedule. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can start creating a yearly content calendar for 2025 so you can get on top of all of your content. And if you've got other commitments like a full-time or part-time job, this video might be for you. But for those of you who are new to this channel, hi, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. But I'm also a content creator and I started this channel a few years ago to talk about all things business, social media, freelancing and content creation. And as I mentioned in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can get on top of all of your content in 2025 by creating a yearly content calendar. So we're really going to start off in this video just talking about why content calendars are actually really crucial for content creators. And I did mention about this briefly in the video already, but I truly believe it is key to a better workflow. And if you are struggling to really stick to a schedule, if you're struggling with your workflow overall, having a content calendar really just allows you to be a lot more visual with what needs to be done and helps you to see ahead into the future and really plan ahead a lot better. I can't tell you how many times I've been stuck in the position, especially when I've had part-time or full-time jobs in the past and still being a content creator on the side. There have been so many times where I feel in the moment I'm on top of things and maybe week to week I'm planning my content or I'm trying to get ahead, but then that slowly becomes more and more difficult the more that time goes on. And it's very easy to become burnt out in this situation where you do have those other commitments and trying to find that time to really, even on a weekly basis or fortnightly basis, trying to plan out your content. For some people, even monthly content planning is hard to find the time to do. So really this video is all about really looking into how you can kind of do this across the span of a year, really look into seasonal changes with your content and how you can kind of capitalize and take advantage of those moments throughout the year too. And just really allow yourself to see ahead of time and to really look into the future a little bit this year and really get on top of things that way, because I think it's very, very important if you do have those other commitments in your life to plan ahead. You can definitely end up just winging it, which I have done on occasion, but I really think the best workflows that I've had in the past has really stemmed from planning ahead and having a content calendar. So we're first going to go through 3 really important points for creating your content calendar for the year. And the first point is really to start off with a clear vision. Maybe look into what you want to achieve with your content this year and set some goals around this. So whether it's more statistical in the fact that you want more reach, you want a certain amount of views per video, you want to hit a certain amount of subscribers, like this can definitely factor into this as well and in the type of content that you will be producing. But also think about the type of content that you want to start posting this year and really where you see yourself as a creator, especially here on YouTube. I think this is a really important thing to do and to consider because YouTube videos can be a lot more time heavy and they can take a lot more effort to produce than sometimes, Instagram Reels or TikTok videos. So it is a really good idea to plan ahead with this and start to see a little bit more of a clearer vision of what you want to achieve for the year with your content. The next thing is going to be to establish your target audience. Now, I think this is a really monotonous point because I think that every content creator guru will really tell you to establish your target audience for anything. Even if you're starting a small or online business, it is always one of those key things. But as monotonous as it does sound, it's a really important point and it's very, very important that you look into who your target audience is. Really look into the demographics, maybe of who is watching you currently as well, and really decode that audience a little bit. Think about the type of people that you want to reach with your content and really consider your niche. This will be really important for determining which platforms you'll likely be posting to on social media as well. For example, for myself, I no longer really utilize Facebook as a major platform for my social media. That's because a lot of the time these days, the demographics are just off with who is watching my videos here on YouTube, who is interacting with my content on Instagram, pretty much for all 3 of my brands that I currently have. And for those of you who don't know, I actually have 3 different YouTube channels. I say this in most of my videos, but if you're new here, I actually have a photography channel that I've been running for 10 years called Kaylee June, and that's basically all Photoshop and photography tutorials. I also have this YouTube channel, as I mentioned, which is all business content creation kind of thing. And then then I've also got a travel vlogging channel with my partner. So 3 pretty different audiences there, but at the same time, most of those people are not going to be reached by Facebook for me. The demographics of Facebook these days tend to be a little bit older, and if your target market is going to be towards younger people, most of the time Facebook is not going to be as much a platform to utilize. But it does depend on your business, whether you're a freelancer, depending on what field you're in. It's really something to consider though, and to look at the platforms that really best suit you. TikTok is obviously going to skew to a much younger audience in general, so that's also something to think about. And again, really dissect your statistics that you currently have from all of your social media platforms. Try and find out who are the people that are watching your videos, what is their age range, whereabouts do they live. Look into these stats because they are really important to consider. Again, this is really going to lead into what kind of content you'll produce for the year and what people are really going to resonate with most. And then the third point is to define your content pillars. So this will be all about the topics that you'll cover consistently on your YouTube channel or on your Instagram account, TikTok, wherever you're posting. It's going to be really important to look at the main pillars of your niche and what you want to consistently produce content about. For example, on my photography channel, I mainly post Photoshop tutorials, I sometimes post reviews, I post photography and lighting setup tutorials, and between those few pillars, that is most of my content. Even here on this channel, as I mentioned at the beginning of my videos, it's social media, it's business, it's content creation and freelancing. That kind of covers most of what I do here. I do a little bit of lifestyle stuff as well, but for the most part, those are my pillars. So it's really good to define what your pillars are and what specific subtopics or sub niches you want to cover on your channel or on your Instagram account, TikTok account. It's really important to consider because again, it's going to lead into the type of content that you'll be producing for all of your social media platforms this year and what you'll be putting into your content calendar. And now we can move into talking about actually building your content calendar. So in terms of platforms to build your content calendar, I would always recommend PicsArt. I've been working with PicsArt on a number of videos in the last 12 months or so, and I really highly recommend them if you want more of a digital design platform to work with so you can kind of create your content calendars from scratch. This is a really good place to go and design some. But in terms of actually building your content calendar and finding your content, this is really the stage where you need to brainstorm and form ideas. This is going to be the centerpiece for your content calendar, obviously, and this is really where you need to start. It's important to generate a diverse range of content ideas for the entire year. And to do this, having a really good brainstorming session at the beginning of the year is going to be a really good way to do this. And some of the tools that I really like to use for this and what I have been using already at the beginning of this year has been really centered actually around YouTube's inspiration tab. So the inspiration tab has changed recently here on YouTube. So this is specifically obviously for my YouTube content. And I find it really, really helpful for generating ideas, for building on those ideas as well. You know, I'm not always the biggest fan of AI when it comes to creative work. At times it downright scares me, but I do see how there are very, very helpful instances where AI can be of assistance to a lot of business professionals and content creators out there. I think that they've really created an incredibly helpful tool here on YouTube to help you brainstorm, and I highly recommend going over to the inspiration tab. And even if it's not necessarily for here on YouTube that you're developing ideas, you can actually still develop ideas and really stem them into Instagram, TikTok, other social media platforms as well. But this is a really good starting place to start building ideas and brainstorming. You can really easily create ideas here by just typing in a topic that you may want to speak about, even if it's one of your pillars per se, like I spoke about before, whether it's social media or content creation, like for this channel, I can easily just type that into the box. And then the inspiration tab is really going to generate a couple of ideas surrounding that particular topic. And the great thing is it's also going to show you how much interest there is in any given specific topic or idea that it comes up with. So that's another thing to really consider. If you're looking for other ways to find content ideas though, I recently did a video here on YouTube where I talked about all the different ways you can start generating ideas for your content creation and hopefully never run out of ideas again. So you can actually watch that video. I'll link it down in the description box below. And I've basically just dumped a million ideas there of how you can kind of try and find content ideas this year. So hopefully that video will be helpful for you. So then it's also a good idea to really consider topics topic mapping. And this is really where you can add clusters of topics or themes within your ideas and really kind of look at certain points in the year where this is really going to be most suitable to post this kind of content as well. So for example, for me, I am tending to do a lot of videos at this time of year, at the beginning of the year, that really include kind of doing resets. So whether that's kind of resetting your business or your strategy for social media, maybe it's setting out some steps in ways that you can actually become a content creator in 2025. I really like to do more motivational videos at this time of year and really talk about strategies and things like that and how things are changing in 2025 and that kind of content. So this is essentially how you can kind of cluster certain topics at certain points in the year to really work for you. But then also remembering that you don't want to post the same content over and over and over and over again. And you also need to have times where you're spacing that content out a little bit more and you're having like a diverse range kind of mixed in. And once that's kind of been organized, you can really develop those themes and expand upon them, adding a little bit more detail and context. So really, if you've got more rough draft ideas for this, you can kind of just build it up slowly. And the more that things become a little bit clearer with the kinds of pillars that you're making the content for, then you can kind of go in and add a little bit more detail or expand upon the themes like I mentioned before. Now, the next stage of building your yearly content calendar is going to be all about content planning and scheduling. So I think one of the best ways you can do this is by having an online social media planner. And I actually use Metrical. Again, they're a brand that I've been working with over the last year or so, and I really highly recommend their platform. I just feel like it's a great visual tool for content creators to really plan out their content, and whether that's for lots of different social media sites like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, there's so many features that are packed into Metrical that can really make your life a lot easier. So having a content scheduler is going to definitely make your life easier, and it's really going to allow you to be so much more organized with your content overall. So once you've done your brainstorming and you've formed a lot more ideas, it's really good to prioritize the content and determine which ideas are most important to kind of achieving your goals. Really look at the content that you think is going to work best, and don't be afraid to discard ideas. I know sometimes when we work on ideas for a while and we sort of treat certain videos or pieces of content as our little babies, and you really want to keep expanding on them, and you feel like because you've done all this work to it that you have to follow through with it. That's not the case, and this is what brainstorming is for. So if you feel like once you've prioritized certain pieces of content that there's other pieces there that you just don't feel in the end are going to be worthwhile, then that's okay, and it's okay to discard that content and maybe start from scratch again. But this is really the time where you can work on prioritizing what you think is going to work best. The next part of this is going to be scheduling your content. So again, it's really important to maybe have a schedule that you like to work to for any social media site, TikTok, YouTube, it doesn't matter. It's good to have some sort of a set schedule that you can work to, because once you do have a schedule, you can really get into the flow of things, and it's really good for your audience too, because they're going to know what to expect from you as well. But also when doing this, it's actually really imperative to look at the content ideas that you have and optimize those ideas for certain social media platforms. So for example, if you have an idea for YouTube, then you want to transfer the same sort of idea over to Instagram. It's important that you tweak things in a way that will suit a short form platform a lot better. You really need to align the content with the unique features of each social media platform. And even when it comes to things like Instagram and TikTok, I know it's all too easy for a lot of people to post the exact same videos, the exact same content from Instagram to TikTok as well. But let me tell you, they are two very different platforms, and it is important that if you're forming these ideas, it's also going to be really imperative to consider that they are separate social media platforms and that things might need to be done a little bit differently with the pieces of content that you do for each platform. And the next stage of this now is going to be the content creation and promotion. So this is where you can put all of your ideas into action and actually create the content that you want to create. This is really a good time to really look at how you're going to actually do your content production and when this is going to be done, at what stages throughout the year. Because again, if you do have those other commitments that I spoke about earlier in the video, it does make it really hard sometimes to keep up with a tight schedule or to really have that time to do content production. So if you prefer to develop your content on one given day instead of, 5 days in a month, then really make sure you're factoring that into your schedule as well and into your content calendar. And then this is also a good time to think about promotional strategies and how you want to promote your content across different social media channels. So if you really want to dedicate some time as well to actually promoting your content on your content calendar, this is a good time to actually add that in as well, along with anything specifically that you want to do in terms of engagement and creating community with your audience. If you need to have extra time set aside for that, again, this is something you'll want to add into that content calendar. If you want to be really specific with a yearly content calendar and really dedicating your time to this, it's a good idea to really think about this now. And then the last stage of creating your yearly content calendar is really going to be analyzing and optimizing. So I think it's very important to have a way to track your performance and track the performance of your videos. And of course, if you're here on YouTube or even on Instagram, TikTok, you will have some basic stats that will kind of give you a brief overview of how your content is doing. Again, I use Metrical for tracking my analytics for social media because it is far more in depth, and having statistics like specific engagement rates, not only for my content, but overall for my accounts, are really, really helpful to have. I can easily get that through Metrical and really find out why certain pieces of content are more engaging than others, and then work on doing more content like that if it's doing well. Key metrics such as views, engagement, and reach are really, really important to monitor. And then you can really use these insights to refine your strategy even more and to refine your content calendar for the future. The one thing I will add in here though, as well, is that you should really have a continual evolution kind of mindset with this. You really need to stay adaptable to trends and audience preferences. So if you feel like certain pieces of content throughout the year are just not working on your content calendar, don't feel like it needs to be all set in stone. You can change and you can adapt and you can evolve. And this is really an important part of creating content calendars, is if something's not working, then you can easily take it out and replace it. It is wonderful to have a full outline for the year of the type of content you're going to be producing and really where you need to get started. But again, like I said, don't feel like it needs to be set in stone. This is something that can easily evolve. And as you track your statistics as you go along, you can change that content calendar to really fit in more with your goals and what you want to achieve. Well, thank you so much for watching this video today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more in future. Let me know down in the comment section below if you've ever designed a yearly content calendar, or if you're thinking about doing one for 2025. I would love to hear your thoughts. Personally, I do tend to do mine monthly, but I will be looking at a little bit more of an overview for this year so I can feel a little bit more prepared just at certain stages throughout the year with my content production, and making sure that I'm kind of looking a little bit further ahead. I think sometimes I forget to do that. So having a yearly content calendar or some sort of yearly overview is a really good way to kind of keep on track with things. But most of my content at the moment is done monthly. Having said that, as I've mentioned several times in this video, not everyone can dedicate the time each month to planning their content. So I think it's a really good way to get started for 2025 and really get ahead of things. Also, feel free to let me know in the comment section below if there's anything in particular you want to see on my channel. I'm always open to requests, and make sure to hit the notification bell to see all the updates from my channel. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.